Hey guys, in this video I want to talk about one of my favorite apps that's available for any radar detector, and this app is YaV1. This is a free Android app that's available for the Valentine one that adds a whole ton of really useful functionality to the detector. It adds a bunch of really useful information that it gives you and a bunch of really useful features that you don't get with just the radar detector. In fact, it's so useful that in my mind it really helps complete the detector, and you can, yes, run it without the app, but you're going to be missing out on some of the really helpful stuff that the app offers. And so what I want to do in this video is just show you what some of the main benefits are. I've done other videos which will actually teach you about how to set up the app, but I haven't done one that just kind of goes over what all the different features and benefits are. So that's what we're going to be doing here specifically with this video. Now, the main thing, whenever anybody asks, well, why should I run this app? The main response that you'll get is going to be GPS lockouts. And that's basically the ability to have your phone automatically learn false alerts when you drive past. So the same drugstores, the same speed signs, the same grocery stores, it'll automatically learn those signals and then begin locking them out and muting them for you. Very useful. This feature is available in some other products, like from Escort, Beltronics, Uniden, Stinger. You've got this functionality available in other products, and with this app, you can get it here now in the V1. Because it actually learns the location of these signals, it requires a GPS chip of some sort. Right? There's no GPS chip built into the V1, so it's actually using the GPS chip from your phone, which is why it actually requires a phone for this feature to operate. Now, the way that the lockout feature actually works, it's a little bit more sophisticated than Escort's implementation. If you want to see a little bit more information about that, go ahead and watch my video kind of showing you the main difference between lockouts and action. But basically the idea here is we'll go ahead and turn K-band on real quick. And I'm actually sitting in a parking lot right now. There's a bunch of stores behind me, and so I've got a K-band false here from an automatic door opener. What I could do if I wanted to is I could just press and hold on the screen, and it would show me all of the signals that it's currently seeing. And I can just, at the press of a button, hit lockout. You'll see the background color change there. And now that signal is locked out. You'll see in this case it actually is still showing up here on my concealed display, and it's also showing up on my phone. I can't actually stop it from showing up on the V1, but I can, if I want to, actually hide the alert on screen on the phone. I choose not to. I like to actually see all the signals that are going on for myself, but if you don't want to do that and you want to have all the known false alerts hidden, you can go ahead and automatically filter those out. There we go. There's the other one that's here in this area. And you see I've got the two signals now. I can go ahead and lock out the other one. And now you can see that they're both locked out. The background colors, you can actually change whatever you want. I'm not using the default colors. I've got stuff actually color-wise matching my concealed display. But if you load up the app for the first time, your colors will be different. Whatever. Set it up the way you want. Yeah, so these GPS lockouts are awesome. They're much safer than Escort's implementation. They are going to be a little bit noisier. It may actually take a few more passes to get a signal entirely locked out, and it's possible that a signal that was locked out may, in the future, due to various reasons, actually unlock itself, and it'll require a few more passes to relock that signal out. So the implementation here is going to be a little bit noisier, but the idea is it's meant to be much safer and help as best as it can prevent the locking out of legitimate police alerts, which has happened to me several times where a police officer actually got locked out, which is really not what I want. So this implementation is designed to be much safer. Everything is a balance, and so that's kind of the way this is geared. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the frequency display. Now, the V1 itself tells a bunch of really useful information on the display. You've got how many signals are present, the band of the signal, the strength of the signal, as well as, of course, the arrows. One thing that it doesn't actually have the ability to tell you is the frequency of the signal, and the frequency is really useful. You can tell, whether it's oftentimes a legitimate alert or a false alert. You can tell if maybe, you got a KA alert a mile ago and all of a sudden you get another blip on your radar detector now. Is it the same gun at the same frequency, or is it maybe a new police officer that you're encountering now? You passed the old one, but you're seeing another one. Frequency information is really useful. It can tell you what brand of gun is being used, so you know oftentimes what department it is. Is it highway patrol? Is it city police? If it's something like this,
34-7.
and I can see the alert here on my V1, that's a 34-7 gun. 34.7-ish. So that gun, or that signal, is actually coming from a stalker. And knowing that, that tells me a lot as far as what to expect, what the gun's capabilities are. It's just a ton of really useful information that I get just from the frequency, and you are going to be able to get that with the phone. That's something that you're going to need. One of the nice things I like about this is it can actually tell you the frequency, the signal strength, and the direction of all of the signals that you're encountering at once. So really, really handy there. Some apps for like other radar detectors maybe only give you one, or the strongest, or whatever it thinks is the most likely. In this case, I like being able to see them all, so a legitimate alert doesn't get lost in a sea of falses. So really, really handy there. Another feature I really like actually are the overlays, and overlays are actually a way for the app to be backgrounded and still present you with information when you need it. So let's say like this, you're running Waze in the foreground, you're driving around, you've got your navigation going, it's showing you where all the police are, all that good stuff, and all of a sudden your radar detector goes off. Oh man, all of a sudden, look at that. The overlay will actually pop up on the screen like that and show you the strength of the signal, the frequency, the direction, all this information that you need will show up right there while your backgrounded app is still functioning. Super handy.
34/7.
If you want, at any time, you can actually just tap on the overlay and it'll pop right up and drop you right into YaV1. So that's actually a super awesome way of keeping everything backgrounded, running something else like Waze in the foreground or whatever else you're using, and still get the alerts that you need on screen without it actually interfering too much with the rest of the stuff that you're doing on the phone. So really awesome there. I love that feature. Another thing I like is savvy emulation. It's basically, you can have the ability to mute signals when you're traveling around at low speed, and it's going to be doing it based on your phone's GPS. Now, Savvy is an accessory that you can buy from Valentine. It costs $70 and it plugs into your car's OBD2 port, and it reads your vehicle's speed that way. And it basically says anytime you're traveling below a certain preset speed, I want you to go ahead and mute all signals. Really handy. Very handy. I like that. You can also, if you want, emulate that functionality using your phone's GPS, and that's called Savvy Emulation. And it uses your phone's GPS. So you'll see, if I go in here into the settings, it's under General Settings. Right here, I've got my GPS turned on, and you can see I've got Savvy Emulation right there turned on, and it's set to 35 miles an hour. I can choose whatever speed I want, and it's basically going to say anytime I'm traveling below this speed, I want you to go ahead and mute my signals. You'll notice I also have exclusions for KA and for laser, and in that case, I want to be alerted to KA and laser signals even if I'm traveling around at low speed. That's really important to me, so I actually have those excluded. So you'll see I'm traveling around here, and I get a KA alert.
34/7.
It's going to go ahead and alert full volume anyways. It's not going to automatically mute the signal for me. That's really good. That's what I want. That's what that exclusion is for. You also have the ability to much more easily program your detector, whether you want to change the settings on the V1 or improve this performance. You want to change any of the settings here. It's really easy to do. So for example, you can go ahead and program in all of your different custom sweeps. So if you want to have a variety of different custom sweeps programmed, you can actually have different profiles built in. So if you just want to change any of the settings, you can just do it on the fly. Really easy. Program everything ahead of time, push a button, and then it'll automatically just push everything right into your V1 for you. Really, really handy. Let's go ahead and turn K-band off real quick. Okay, and so that's an awesome way to go ahead and improve the performance of the V1. You'll notice I didn't actually have to manually press any settings in order to do that. I can actually pre-program a variety of different settings, and I can go in under V1 settings. You see how I have a couple different settings available here? So if I want to actually change the settings on my V1 on the fly, I can do it without having to dig through a bunch of menus and find the exact setting and turn it on or off. I can actually pre-build ahead of time a couple different profiles and then just push whichever one I want. For example, you'll see I'm running the one right now, K-band, KA-band, and TMF2 on. This is my profile, the main go-to default one. I've got X-band turned off, and I've got TMF2 turned on, which is going to really help quiet down a lot of the false alerts. If I'm driving around, I get into the mountains, and I say there's not a lot of traffic around, and I don't want the performance penalty that TMF2 brings. I want to go ahead and get full performance on K-band. I can go ahead and turn TMF2 off just by pushing it to the V1 like that. Bam, that easy. Settings have been successfully written to the V1, and I'll see it confirmed right there. It tells me exactly what setting profile I'm running right there. So there's a really easy way while I'm driving around to just go ahead and switch profiles. And I can also access that from right here. Push setting, yes. Awesome, there we go. And so all this now, it's actually loaded right into the V1. So it makes it really, really easy while you're driving to not have to dig through menus, but still also change any sorts of profiles you want. If I'm in an area where X-band is in use, I can go ahead and just switch profiles right here and just say, okay, I want X-band on, I want TMF2 on to help with false alerts. Go ahead and push that. And there we go. We now have X-band loaded in as well. So really easy, an awesome way. It's safer, it's quicker, and it's much easier to do while you're actually driving. You also have the ability to add voice alerts. This is really cool. So if you noticed, when I shot it with a stalker gun,
34-7.
my phone actually says 34-7. And being able to add voice alerts like that is something really, really useful. That's not available just with the factory V1. The way that works is we can go in and adjust our frequency boxes. And then you'll notice I've actually got a couple different boxes set up. And a box is basically just saying any signal within a certain frequency range, I want you to do something special with this. So for example, I've got it set up so that if I get any sort of signal that's in this range, 34,580 to 34,9, so any sort of stalker-ish range, I want you to make it a blue background, and I want you to go ahead and play my 34.7 audio file. So really, really handy. I can do the exact same thing with 33.8 and 35.5.
35.5.
There's 35.5, and I can also do the same thing for 33.8.
33.8.
Awesome. So those are just files that I had created online with some text-to-speech type website, and then downloaded those files right to my phone, and then I've used them as audio files here for YaV1. So really handy way of actually getting voice alerts built into the app as well. Another feature that I really like is the ability to have dark mode running on the V1. Normally when you're using the V1, you've got the display on,
34.7.
so any sort of alerts will actually show up here on the detector. If you like, you can actually press this button right up top here and actually have it disable the display on the V1. So now when you're getting any sort of alerts, they can still show up on the phone itself, but they'll no longer actually show up on your detector. So that's actually really, really handy if you want to have all the lights turned off and not alert any other drivers around you, or just keep things a little bit darker in your cabin at night. You do have that option. You'll notice it doesn't actually work on the concealed display. It only actually works on the V1 itself. So if you want that ability, that's available here with YaV1. Also on the app, you can have it display your speed and your direction, which I find really, really useful. I actually find myself watching a lot of times the digital speed on my phone more than actually the speedometer on my car. That's going to be more accurate. It takes into account GPS information. You don't have any issues with maybe your speedometer is a couple miles an hour too fast, or your tire size messes things up. Like, you don't have any of those issues. It's GPS accurate and digital, so it's really easy to see on the fly. So I really like that capability. Same thing, you can have direction information right here. You can see currently saying I pulled in and I was driving southeast. Cool, good to know. That's great to know when you're driving around town. You're trying to figure out what direction you're driving and what direction you need to be going. One of the things that's really great about the app is you get a lot more sophisticated, advanced muting controls. And now one of the things that people complain about the V1 is that it's really noisy. It's just too many false alerts, and it's too chatty and it talks too much. With this app, you've got a ton of ways of actually helping to deal with the false alerts. You've got things like the GPS lockouts, which we talked about. You've got the low-speed muting with Savvy emulation. There's other cool things. One of the issues that you have with the V1 is when you program it with custom sweeps, that 33.8 range is automatically going to be scanned. That's great for checking for POP radar, and it's great for detecting 33.8 radar, but it's not so great for detecting Cobra falses. When you enable custom sweeps, it's going to automatically turn off KA guard, which is the filter to reject false alerts from other leaky radar detectors. So what happens is you're going to start getting false alerts coming through from other radar detectors. Cobras like to false around 33.6 to 33.7 or so. And once you enable custom sweeps, those falses are going to start coming through, and you don't have the ability to turn that frequency range off. So what you can do is, again, use the boxes here in the V1. Remember how I had the different audio files playing for different frequency ranges? Check out this box that I have right here for box 1. Notice any signals that's between 33.7 to 33.9, I want that to go ahead and show up in blue and play my 33.8 file. I have a ton of 33.8 that's used here in the area. That's the main gun that's used here by the highway patrol. So I see it all the time. Any signals that fall outside of this frequency range, even though the V1 is technically still scanning them and it will still show me those signals, and I can't disable that frequency range anywhere around here, what I can do is say, any signals that's actually outside of my boxes, I want you to actually go ahead and mute that. See the KA mute outside of the box? I've basically set up a way so that any of those Cobra falses that are around 33.6-ish that I can't turn off and I can't prevent from happening, I can actually mute them here with the boxes. So that's a really, really handy way of helping deal with some of the false alerts that you may not otherwise be able to do without the app. So that's another example of some of the advanced muting capabilities that you've got here with the app. Another thing I really like is the ability to log all the different alerts that you encounter when you're driving around. This is really cool. Let me show you an example of some alerts that I picked up recently. I'll go into my logged alerts. Let's go around here. I was doing some radar detector testing yesterday, so I've got a bunch of logged alerts you can see. Different colors. K-band is yellow. KA I've got set up for blue. Here's one that I got on the drive over to my course. So as you can see right there, there's all the different detections that I saw in the area, and these are all logged and they're then displayed on a map. This feature actually does require an internet connection. You can see I do have the Wi-Fi signal right there. It's actually currently tethered off my iPhone. The app itself doesn't require an internet connection for all the main features, just Bluetooth and GPS really. Couple of things here and there are going to require internet connection, but you're not going to need it for most things. Anyways, you can see right here, this was the main encounter. You can take a look. When I was first starting near the beginning of the encounter, I was driving, 62 miles an hour. So that was my initial speed when I first encountered the officer. At the very end, when I lost the signal, I was doing 57. So this is actually a great way to go back and see your encounters afterwards. In retrospect, you can see how fast you were going when you got the initial detection. You can see how long the detection was before you passed the officer. If you're doing any sort of radar detector save videos, this is a great way to actually show on a map visually, exactly where the detection was, what the course looked like, all this stuff. So really, really useful. It's also great if you're worried about out-of-tune guns and you don't want to custom sweep your detector really, really narrow. You can run really wide custom sweeps, so you're searching for a whole bunch of frequencies, and then you can just let it log all the different signals over time. Then you can always go back later and see, okay, what frequencies am I encountering here on KA band? Am I getting a lot of out-of-tune guns? Do I need to have such wide sweeps? Am I safe to have narrower sweeps with my custom sweeps? Because I'm not seeing many out-of-tune guns here, So a lot of really useful information that can come from logging your alerts and then being able to view them and share them like this. So really handy. Now there's also artificial intelligence, believe it or not, that's being developed for YaV1, which is going to help the app determine the difference between a real alert or a false alert based on the way the signal is appearing itself. And the way that it works, this feature is not yet completed. It's actually currently in development. And if you want, you can enable the artificial intelligence logging to help with the development of it. And what you would do,
34.7.
whenever you see a signal pop up and you're driving around, you can actually pull up the AI menu and you can say, okay, was that a false alert or was that a true alert? Once you see the source of the radar, was he parked? Was he stationary? Was he static? Or was he actually driving at the time and was he moving? Was it constant on, or you can see the IO button, and was it instant on? You can actually go in and record all that stuff, and then once you're done, you can actually email the logs over to Frankie, who's the developer. He's going to put everything together, and based on that, and seeing the way the signals actually appear and change over time, and doing a bunch of fancy math, he's actually going to help be able to tell the difference between a moving alert or a stationary alert, or a legitimate or false alert just based on seeing a whole bunch of different samples all put together. So a whole bunch of really cool stuff there. Again, this feature is not yet done, completed, and ready. It's still something that he's collecting a bunch of information for, and he still needs a lot of people to submit information so we can see, how well it works and to get it all built, right? But really, really cool stuff to actually see things like that are actually coming forth too. Speaking of Frankie, he's actually really, really awesome. This is an app developed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. So it's something where if you really want to dive deep and, test stuff, if you want to experiment, try new things, get new features implemented based upon your own requests, you can actually get that done. It's not a big, huge corporation developing this. It's like literally one guy who lives overseas and a bunch of enthusiasts all helping out. And this is one of the great things. It's pretty much just enthusiasts all doing it. Everything from the development of the app to testing it out, to getting features built into it, to helping teach people, how does it work. The manual that's been written is all, put on by Windstrings, who's an enthusiast on the forums. Like, I'm an enthusiast as well. I'm not a manufacturer or anything. I help test this stuff and create videos showing people how all this stuff works. Like, it's all people just like us who are helping put this all together. So it's really, really cool. So if you'd like to contribute and be involved as well, you can totally jump onto RDF, rdforum.org. Come into the YaV1 section and you can actually give your input, your feedback. If you find any bugs, report them, and that'll help us actually get things fixed. Just awesome stuff. So if you want to get involved, like, that's actually one of my favorite things, is having somebody who's actually listening to what we're asking for and actually helping to implement the different features and bug requests that we find. So really just awesome stuff there. I absolutely love that. So anyways, there's a look at, just kind of some of my favorite features that's available with the YaV1. There's tons of stuff more. These are just kind of some of my favorite ones. So if you're interested in getting a V1, I would absolutely recommend this app. This is awesome. It's not perfect, nothing is. Everything still can be improved and bugs fixed and all that kind of stuff, but it's one of those things that's just so awesome for the V1. And just in general, it adds so much functionality that there's nothing that's going to give you this level of control and capability that you'll get with the V1 and YaV1 package. It's just awesome. Like, I absolutely love it. So that's why I recommend it so much. Great app.